Well, it was an afternoon of self-inflicted wounds for the Jaguars as the team fell to the Bengals in the final seconds yesterday. Here to recap the hard loss is Alessandra Pontbriand. She is a sportscaster at WJXT News for Jax, our news partners. Alessandra, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not excited to talk about the loss, but I'm excited to be here.
It's not a victory Monday. The Jags looked good at the beginning of this game. What happened?
I know. In the beginning of the game, I mean, they scored on the first drive, which is not like them from years past. They converted third downs. They stopped the Browns or Joe Burrow couldn't do anything at the beginning of the game, and then it completely shifted. Kind of in the second quarter, I would say it kind of shifted. They were flagged multiple times for illegal shifts, which yes, that was a tough road environment. Those fans seemed like they were very passionate. Joe Burrow goes down, and then Jake Browning comes in, and you couldn't stop him. Jamar Chase had almost 150 yards, which he's one of the best in the league. Obviously, he was the best last year, but you had to do something to try to limit them, try to limit Jake Browning. And I have to say, the Jaguars defense had 3 sacks and 3 interceptions. I mean, if you hear that in any other game, you're like, oh, they definitely won, and unfortunately, that didn't work out.
I saw that one news outlet said that the Jaguars left a lot of food on the table in Ohio, and I guess the idea being that this is something that they really should have won.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like I said, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, and you couldn't win that game is like pretty remarkable because, like I said, you look at any other stat line, that's usually a winning team, and the offense at the beginning. They looked good in the beginning of the game, and then it kind of just fell apart, kind of like the old Jaguars, unfortunately. But yeah, Cincinnati won 31-27. I think the turning point was definitely the fourth quarter. They were in the red zone. Trevor Lawrence had 3 chances to score a touchdown. The first pass was incomplete to Brian Thomas Jr., then it was incomplete to De'Ami Brown, and then Brian Thomas Jr. dropped the one that was basically right on the goal line, and that
right in his paws, it really just seemed like he had it.
Yeah, and that forced Cam Little to kick a 25-yard field goal. They had the 27-24 lead, and the Browns were down there, and the defense could have held them. Then, of course, Travis Hunter got flagged for DPI, which extended the Cincinnati drive. And once you get that, because it's a spot foul, so wherever it happens, that's where they move up to. They could have kicked a field goal and tied the game, but, good for Cincinnati and the Bengals to be aggressive and ultimately, score the touchdown with the final few seconds. And then Trey Hendrickson, of course, the star of that defense over there in Cincinnati, sacked Lawrence on the final, basically play of the game, the end of the game.
I mean, Jags fans are going to be looking at a couple of calls that the refs made that were pretty consequential and a little bit controversial as well.
Oh, yeah. No, some of the pass interference calls people were a little skeptical about, especially the one on Travis Hunter. But at the end of the day, it's like you can't fix it. That's the penalty that was thrown, and that's what happened in the game. Of course, the Jaguars can go back to the league and send in the play, and then the league can address it and see, okay, maybe it should have that. But, shoulda, coulda, woulda after the game, in my opinion, it's not anything for fans really to be like nagging on or be dwelling about because, the Jaguars lost. Now you got to turn to the Texans who are coming this Sunday for your first AFC South divisional opponent. So this is a big game. The Jaguars need to win this. You need to win your divisional games. They really matter more than just any other game because if you win your division, you get to go to the playoffs. So they need to flush this loss. It's unfortunate what happened. And Joe Burrow should be out for apparently 3 months.
Yeah, what do we know? He injured his toe, and now they're thinking he might need surgery?
Yeah, so Adam Schefter broke the news this morning that he suffered turf toe and he'll have to get surgery. So it's probably a 3-month process. So they should have Jake Browning now. And of course, Jake Browning beat the Jaguars. So, it looks good for Cincinnati despite, unfortunately, the injury to Joe Burrow.
So next week, the Houstons, that's here at home?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll be watching that. What do you hear just from the locker room after this loss? I'm guessing the mood wasn't delighted. Was it reflective? Was it just kind of grouchy? What's going on in there?
I think it was a little reflective. It didn't seem like, obviously I wasn't there, but from the videos that were posted and the interviews that were posted, they didn't seem too upset. I mean, of course they were upset, but they didn't seem defeated, I should say. Obviously they're going to have to watch the film and, see what adjustments they can make. But, I think it's only week 2. We got a long rest of the season to go. So, Andrew Wingert said after, he was like, hopefully at in December, January, we can look back, or the Jaguars can look back at this loss beginning in the season and kind of laugh about it, be like, what were we doing?
Yeah, lessons learned.
Yes. So hopefully that's how it turns out. But, they really need to flush this loss and focus on the Texans.
All right. Well, Alessandra Pontbriand, sorry it wasn't a better news to bring you in this morning, but we love talking to you every Monday. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thanks, guys.